Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dad Schooler podcast and YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube. I am your host, Gabriel Perez, and in this episode, we're going to talk about going from ordinary to extraordinary. And if this is the first time we're meeting, hi, I'm Gabriel Perez. I am a husband, a father of 3 kids, and I partner with my wife in homeschooling our 3 children. And if you want to connect, you can do so at thedadschooler@gmail.com. You can also find me at thedadschooler on Instagram. Or if you're on the podcast, we have a YouTube channel, the Dad Schooler. Or if you're on YouTube, we have a podcast called, guess what? Guess it, the Dad Schooler. And so here in this episode, going from ordinary to extraordinary. Now, I just want to share, because I came to this realization really from a devotional that I'd like to share with you guys called My Utmost for His Highest. Found it at Hobby Lobby, still got the price tag on it. And so I'd just like to share something that hit me, because the devotional is called Impulsiveness or Decisiveness. And I am a very impulsive person. And so I jumped right into things, just like I jumped right into this podcast and YouTube channel and got overwhelmed because it was a lot more than I expected. And so in this devotional, I just want to read to you a little short. There's a Bible verse I'd like to share, though. But you, beloved, building yourselves up on your most holy faith. Jude 20. And so he talks about impulsiveness and how, let me just lay it out right here from the devotional. Impulsiveness is all right in a child, but it is disastrous in a man or woman. An impulsive adult is always a spoiled person. Impulsiveness needs to be trained into intuition through discipline. So, speaking right there in my heart, it hurts. I feel it. Do you hear that? It hurts, but it's truth. And so what really hit me is it says, it is ingrained in us that we have to do exceptional things for God. But we do not. We have to be exceptional in the ordinary things of life. And so when I think about that, I think how many times I thought that only the exceptional things matter. Only the things that were big really counted for homeschool, for fatherhood, for life. And in doing so, you miss out on the ordinary. And really what God wants us to do is not to have to do exceptional things, but to do ordinary things very well. To do the ordinary as if it was just as important as the extraordinary, as the big things. And so I think in homeschool, we can have these plans of our homeschool being extraordinary. Our homeschool of having these great craft times, these great learning moments, these incredible field trips. And honestly, that's not always the case. But what about the ordinary moments? The ordinary moments when your child's playing outside and they're looking at a rock and you can talk to them about different types of rocks. Or they have a question about this, why is the sky blue? And you give them your best answer. That's an ordinary moment. And are we exceptional and present in the ordinary moments? I know for me, I'm not. I'm thinking I always have to do these big things or these big time with these big moments with my children when it could honestly be building Legos. In fact, my son said, "Hey, Dad, my goal for Sunday is to do as much as I can with you as possible." And that's heartwarming. I love that. So I said, "What do you want to do?" Was it go to Disneyland? Was it go out to the toy store? And it was like, I want to build a Lego castle. And there it is. An ordinary moment of building Legos, building a Lego castle. And, so I don't have to do something grand. I just have to be grand in that ordinary moment. That ordinary moment of building Legos and spending that intentional time. And so I really want to encourage you dads out there, because it's definitely impulsiveness. It's definitely a thing that can hinder us. It can hurt us from just missing out on those moments. And I've gone through this many times. I felt even in this podcast and YouTube channel, it has to be big. It has to be extraordinary. It has to be grand. Like I have to have all these subscribers. And what I've resolved down to really come to in each of these episodes is that if I'm just speaking to one dad, that's extraordinary. If I'm just speaking to one person that this reaches, that's extraordinary. And it helps them, and it encourages them, it changes their perspective. That's what's going to make the difference. And it's being okay with that. It's being okay that it's nothing big, but it's big for God. He wants those ordinary moments. He wants us to put our hearts in the ordinary things. And how can we model that for our children? How can we show them that it's not about getting all A's, but it's about putting in your best work daily? I mean, the true outcome of things comes from the ordinary acts of things. And it's funny because I did 75 hard, and I failed, so I didn't complete it. And in fact, I even made the choice not to continue to go on it after I failed the third time. What would have been my third time doing it, because I didn't have the capacity, to be honest. And I needed to focus on some other things. So I had to walk away. And it still kind of hurts. Because, it hurts. But to lay out 75 hard, there's 2 workouts. One inside, one outside, 45 minutes each. There's sticking to a diet, no cheat meals, drinking a gallon of water, reading 10 pages, taking a picture with your shirt off, and then no alcohol. And so you do these 7 things. And you know what's funny is, what are the things that stick out that are really going to be the hardest things for you when you look at it? It's the workouts, probably, or the diet, sticking to a diet. Those are the hard things, and those are kind of the extraordinary things. Like, man, that's tough. I don't know if I can do that every day for 75 days. And if you fail one, you have to start over. And so I ended up going for 80 days total. I didn't finish it, but I went 80 days of doing this. I never failed at the workouts. I never failed at the diet or the cheat meals. What I did fail at, the picture. The ordinary, simple task of a picture. And reading 10 pages. Because that was simple to me. Those were the things when I looked at it that I'll always be able to complete. Like, that's not a problem. And so, it's all these things that we line up that we make room for the extraordinary, but not the ordinary. And in our homeschool, I've learned to realize that some of the ordinary things, like just reading to my kids out loud, produces extraordinary results. The ordinary act of me just reading Dogman comics to my kids at night has led to an extraordinary bedtime routine and talks about character development. It was an ordinary thing. I was just reading a comic to them, just reading a book. But I did it with intent. I did it with the purpose to say, I'm going to read this in voices, I'm going to show up in this comic, and I'm going to make it fun for them. And I made that simple comic book reading of just 2 chapters a night, which is 10 minutes, extraordinary. And to me, I'm not thinking that way. To me, I'm not like, oh, this is going to be extraordinary. But I see it now. I actually see the fruits of it down the line. Because at first it was like, I'm just doing this because they want me to read. But then as I kept doing it, as I saw what was happening, it produced extraordinary results from the ordinary. And so take this, dads, to your homeschool, to your relationship with your children. I know I call this the Dad Schooler YouTube channel or podcast, wherever you're streaming from. But when I think of homeschool and as a father role, I think it's life. Parenting is heavily involved in that. So it's not just one thing of just schoolwork. It's like, it's the whole caboodle. It's our family. Homeschool is family. It's family life. And so I always want to convey those 2 messages. It's not just doing the curriculum. It's not just doing these school activities. It's family life. And it's involving yourself in that. And so take So maybe you're not in curriculum, Dad. Maybe you're not doing homeschool activities, but what ordinary activities could you involve yourself with and make those extraordinary? And you make them extraordinary by showing up every time. By showing up and giving your best in the ordinary moments. And that's what becomes extraordinary. And that's what the devotional really highlights, is that when you start doing your best in the ordinary, the extraordinary just comes. And so really a light turned on in my heart, because I miss a lot. I can be really dense, and I can really focus on the big things and things that I think are moving the needle. But really it's the small things. It's the little things that move the needle. It's the little things that impact the heart. And when you have enough little things, they become big things. And instead of trying to make one big moment, I'm making thousands of little moments. So fathers, I just want to encourage you in that one, you might want to get this book, My Utmost for His Highest by Oswald Chambers. And number 2, show up in the ordinary and you'll get extraordinary. Sounds cool. I didn't really make it up, but I kind of made it up. But I think I'm going to run with that. Yeah, I'm going to own that one. No, I can't own it, because obviously you heard me go from the devotional. No, he didn't say it. I'm owning that. That's mine. Go from ordinary to extraordinary. Sorry, I just had to think about that in here and as I'm recording it. But that's what I'm doing, guys. You're hearing it live. This is a new format. I was originally recording a podcast and then separately recording my podcast content with my YouTube content. And it honestly is it's different. It's tough. I know they're two different media forms, but for me, I think I prefer this. It allows me to give some freedom to be me and not have to feel like I have to look at this camera and make a connection, although I can if I want to. But anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying this show. I'd love for you to be a part of the community. I'd love to meet you dads out there. You can hit me up at thedadschooler@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram at thedadschooler. And, be a part of this community, engage. And so if you have questions, shoot me questions. You have topics you'd like me to cover, I'd like to know. And I would go over them. I would look into them and just give you what my perspective is. But also the goal is to connect with other dads, have other dads who are homeschooling be on this channel, share their insight, share their experience, share their journey, because it's important. We all have different walks, and my journey might not fully speak to you, but some other father's journey can speak to you. And so with that said, let's engage, guys. Let's make this a community. Let's make this something that can benefit not just us, but those around us, and in turn impact our families. So it's Gabriel Perez, and this is the Dad Schooler channel, show, thing. I'm out.